Howdy, guys. My name is Mike Goulding. This is the signature assignment for CWID TED Talks. Instructor Kim Sheffer, and today we're going to be talking about using grit, resilience, and the right mindset to be successful. First off, what is grit? Grit is passion and perseverance in the pursuit of long-term goals. As Webster defines it, it is firmness of mind and spirit, unyielding courage. Grit is something that all of us can have. It requires no skill, only effort. It'll go really as far as you're willing to take it. It is truly limitless. It is what separates, in my mind, the successful from the hopeful, and it can be called even borderline obsession. Some would say absolute devotion to whatever your goal is. When we look at grit versus talent, we often see that it is the most talented people that don't make it to the next level. For example, the NFL, the NBA. They never play at Carnegie Hall, stuff like that. Prime example is Anthony Bennett. He was the number one ranked forward in the class of 2012. For you, those of you that don't know what a forward is, it is a position in basketball. Now, Anthony Bennett came out of high school as number one forward, and he decided to play for UNLV, which was an interesting choice because UNLV belongs to the Mountain West, a highly underperforming conference. He could have played in the SEC, could have played in the Pac-12, but he chose to play at UNLV, kind of coasted through, and because of this, he never stretched his own talent, he never tested himself, and he never made it big in the NBA. On the flip side of that coin, we got Isaiah Thomas, who currently plays in the NBA, most known for his performances on the Celtics. But this guy, he is the guy that is pictured on the slide. He is only, I believe, 5'10", which in the NBA is absolutely unheard of. He was drafted last in his class and was just very underrated. He, I believe, has won multiple playoff games and has seen many, many playoff appearances and just has had a storied career. Currently plays for the Washington Wizards. Um, Here we have a quote from Josh Waitzkin, a guy that we learned about this summer. It goes, "The moment we believe that success is determined by an ingrained level of ability, we will be brittle in the face of adversity." And I think Isaiah Thomas perfectly embodies that. He truly had grit over talent. When we see grit in action, you can use grit in our college careers, just because college for some people is 2 years, for some it's 8, for some it's even 10. So it's a long process, and it really does take determination. And even after school, some of us will have years of internships and apprenticeships, however you say that, that will go unpaid. It takes real determination to really see your goal and chase it like that. We have to stay motivated on our chosen career paths. In our career, we should always be striving for that next promotion. We should always be learning new things on the job, and we should always keep our eyes on what's next. That is how we can use grit in our careers. Next, we're going to go on to resilience. As Webster defines it, it is an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Little term that we are probably a little more familiar with is rolling with the punches. Resilience is about getting back up after you've been knocked down. In our lives, we're going to see, or we're going to practice resilience because we're going to see financial hardships, especially in college. Things get tough sometimes. College is expensive, and it's very time consuming, which limits our time to have another job or have a side hustle to make some more money. So things are gonna be a little tight for a while. Our vehicles are gonna break down often. We're gonna move sometimes. Housing situations are gonna change. So financially, college is a rough time. Our resilience is gonna be what keeps us rolling with the punches in these times. Sometimes we're going to see changes in our career path. We're going to get 3 years through college and realize that what we're doing is not what we want to be doing. Resilience is going to be what lets you and what makes you change your career path to what you really want to be doing. It's going to be what keeps you motivated. And we're going to see hardships in our family as well. Losses in the family, as tough as it is to say, it happens. Illnesses happen, just unforeseen things, and our resilience is going to be what keeps us chugging along in the face of adversity. Resilience in action. Like I said, in our college careers, nothing is going to go the way we want it to. You can't expect to just coast through this whole thing without a single issue. Um, so yeah, like I said, we're gonna run into financial troubles. It's guaranteed. So sometimes we are gonna need to make little sacrifices, like eating some ramen. No, it's a stereotype, but it is a true one. Um, it's just little things like that are gonna be necessary sacrifices to get where we want to be in our careers after college. And family and friends are gonna come and go. That's inevitable, especially friends. It's it's tough losing friends. It's tough losing family. It's tough seeing them come and go. But being resilient is gonna help keep us on our path and push us through these hardships. In our professional careers, resiliency is going to be an effective tool in our arsenal because the outside world is a dog eat dog world. It's ruthless. If you fall behind, it's tough to get back up, but you have to get back up. Um, Stuff like, especially as adults, having children, finding a job, keeping a job, and unforeseen tragedies will happen. We will not avoid them. Uh, really, there is two ways to react to these things. We can either sulk or dwell on these bad experiences, or we can be resilient and do something about it for ourselves. Enduring a little bit of discomfort is worth it for a lifetime of success. Now, these two things you could think are the same, but I'm going to tell you why they're not. As I said earlier, the Webster definition of grit is firmness of mind or spirit, unyielding courage. A little slang term is nose to the grindstone. Resilience can be defined as an ability to recover or adjust easily to misfortune or change. As I said earlier, this could also be called rolling with the punches. The main difference between these two is that you have to persist through adversity to be resilient. Grit is just consistency and determination over time. But don't think that one is more important than the other. They are both equal parts in this relationship, and we need to practice these things in our life. Next, we go on to mindset, and arguably, this is the most important trait to our success. You could have this and not have grit and resiliency, and probably do okay. Webster defines it as a habitual or characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Now, mindset is a double-edged sword. It can positively or very negatively affect you. Negatively, it can affect you by dwelling on your bad experiences. You can tell yourself you're not good enough. You can be scared to not take the leap into new and scary things. But on the flip side of that coin, it can be positive for you too. If you always see the silver lining in things, if you always realize that it can be worse, and you have that positive, persistent mindset, you can seriously benefit from it. Individuals that possess a good mindset never dwell on their bad experiences. Not much can get them down. And when we look at mindset, we can see two different types of mindset, really. We have growth mindset and fixed mindset. Now, people that possess a growth mindset believe that their abilities and knowledge can be improved upon or grown. Examples: learning a new skill, like Josh Waitzkin, the guy we learned about this summer. He went from playing chess and being a champion to that into practicing martial arts. Something totally non-related, but he found a new ability. He found a new skill. Um, People with fixed mindsets believe they have a certain set of abilities and knowledge that cannot change. They never branch from what they are good at. They stay in this rut for as long as they have this fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset often say, I am not good at blank, or I've never been a blank type of person. But you always hear a person with a growth mindset say, I'm going to work on blank, or my goal is to be better at blank. This quote from Dale Carnegie perfectly sums it up. A successful man will profit from his mistakes and try again in a different way. That is very much a growth mindset way of looking at things. Your mistakes are your best teachers, truthfully. And mindset in action, in our school, we can use the correct mindset to not dwell on a bad grade. An F is not the end of the world. There are dozens of different assignments for a single class per semester. One is not going to ruin you. We can learn from our classmates by interacting in a positive way with them, gain different mindsets and different just ways of looking at things. Our classmates can be valuable to us. And we can make the most of every lesson or assignment, no matter how small, because they truthfully all do have some importance. We're not just doing them to do them. We're not just wasting time. They have importance. In our professional careers, we can use a growth mindset to limit our negative reactions with coworkers. Keep an open mind, accept their viewpoints and their ideas, and really, conversate with them. By doing this, we can move up in our company, shop, etc. We can be good leaders, good managers, good business owners. The possibilities are truly endless. And we can learn, just like in school, learning from every assignment. We can learn from every customer, every contract, every deal, no matter how small, no matter if you sold a $1 pen or if you sold a $1 million apartment building. Every deal is just as important. Every deal teaches you something. Now, how do we tie all this together? And we truthfully do need to tie all this together, because one trait alone is not good enough. A person that is determined will sputter out when faced with hard adversity, when they lose their house, when their car breaks down, when their anything happens. It really is. You need to be resilient as well as determined. On the flip side of that, a person with good resilience will not be able to stay consistent with their goals over time if they are not gritty, if they are not determined. And a person with a growth mindset, kind of has it all, but they will learn from their mistakes over time, but also struggle over time. They do not possess that determination. That you need all traits to reach the pinnacle of what is possible for you. In our history, we see a couple success stories like Henry Ford. He failed, I believe, 2 times before he finally started the Ford Motor Company. And he failed because he was stubborn with his vision for the automobile. He believed that it should be, reliable and cheap for the average adult. He believed that everybody should have an automobile, and he stayed stubborn with this thought. And he wasn't satisfied until he finally got what he wanted in the Ford Motor Company. He said this: failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Again, we're looking at Josh Waitzkin. Lost his first chess championship, and that, in his own words, was the most important factor to his success. And he really is a preacher of the growth mindset. And finally, we look at the man, the myth, the legend, Colonel Harlan Sanders. His famous chicken recipe really didn't take off until he was 65 years old. That's ridiculous. He was rejected over 1,000 times, 1,009 to be exact. And his childhood was hard. His father died when he was 2, and he left the house when he was 14. He worked odd jobs for many years and first started trying to market his chicken recipe in his early 20s. And like I said, didn't strike gold until he was 65. That is determination if I've ever seen it. So, going on to the assessment. Please log into Google Forms and take a multiple choice and fill in the blank test. There will be 5 questions on this test. Number 1, what is arguably the most important trait to have for success? Number 2, what does grit and resilience, or how does grit and resilience differ? Number 3, resilience is what keeps us motivated when the blank are stacked against us. Number 4, people that possess a growth mindset believe that their blank and blank can be improved upon and grown. And how old was Colonel Sanders when his famous chicken recipe became popular? That is it for me, guys. I enjoyed this semester with you guys thoroughly. I hope everything went well for you, and I hope everything else in your college career goes fantastic. Peace out.